Hallelujah. Hey.
Hello.
What a pleasure. Mr. Alex Beyrodt in the house. Tonight, very special event. Alex is a longtime friend of mine, and we actually go back to last century.
Yes, we do. I think it's like 40 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, we are only 41, but
yeah.
I think we met when we had that age, you know? So
yeah, the Stone Age.
Yeah, so yeah, we come from the Saarland, which is our home area, so to speak. And it's funny because, well, we never met that much at the beginning.
No, we've been working in different scenes. I was in the metal scene from Neunkirchen, with the steel mills and steel factories.
The tough guys. And I was from Saarbrücken.
And I think you...
St. Ingbert.
You were from St. Ingbert in Saarbrücken, where the university is, and the smart guys are actually...
Well, you know, I was more the pop guy, you know, pop and whatever, funky guy. And I'm more the, single coil vintage, delicate, kind of classy, trying to be different guy.
Yeah.
And, in Neunkirchen, the guys were really tough and they were going for it and, they believed in the stuff they were doing and they were totally dedicated.
It was the Birmingham of Saarland.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right.
Now, since we both kind of traveled the world a bit, we've seen cities like that and we can kind of compare these cities and the mentalities from
absolutely.
these. So the Saarland has, the Birmingham and whatever this is called, Bath, maybe, the posher, whatever area. But here, you have to watch this. This is a real vinyl. Vinyl is the kind of material that they used last century. Big and heavy. And you can see there's a Symbiose, which was my band, and there's Wild Access, of course, which was Alex's band. And
well, this is our first record.
Yeah, and we actually didn't meet, or did we?
I don't think so. I think later. After this, I was listening to your solo, and I thought, oh, this guy can really play. I maybe
same here. I thought, this guy has the Blackmore stuff. And hey, watch this. So where are we? Okay, we are on this side. This is Wild Access, and nur einer konnte spielen, which means only one could play. Was this you?
I didn't write it.
Okay, I guess it was you because you were killer back in the day. So, and this is me looking at this picture, which is music aus Funk, Jazz und Rock, with all these styles. So, and that's me, young age. And this actually goes back to March 1982. So see how old we are? We are still alive and kicking, and we are still having fun. And that's the biggest thing, I think, in music and rock music especially.
Yeah.
You can grow old and still be, cool with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, people probably know a bit about my career with Tic Tac Toe, being the German Spice Girls and playing in front of, big audience for Michael Jackson, opening up and all that stuff. But hey, you've been in Primal Fear.
I'm in Primal Fear, yeah.
Yeah, or you're still in Primal Fear, sorry.
No problem.
Maybe, you can talk a little bit about it. And I think we have a short little clip here. Shall we start the clip first? Okay, let's see the clip and then...
Okay, let's see the little...
So what's the secret about Primal Fear? When did the band start? When you toured the world with them, I heard.
Absolutely. We tour the world actually every year.
Yeah. I've traveled too. And then, funny enough, like just the last 10 years, people told me about you. It's like when I come to America, I say, there's a German guy, Alex Beyrodt, do you know him? I said, well, actually, yes. But hey, let you hear a bit more about this band.
Well, Primal Fear, I played my very first Primal Fear show in 1999. as a sub, as I helped out for a tour. And it was like an on and off thing. In 2001, I helped the guys again to another world tour. And finally in 2009, I became a constant member. Yeah, do songwriting, and we tour. We play in Australia, in Bolivia, in
everywhere.
Japan, everywhere in the world. Yeah, and we are about to release a new album next month.
Cool.
And a new video actually in 2 days.
Yeah, super. Yeah. I have a fan in Osaka, Japan.
I met the guy.
You met him?
I met him.
Yeah. So because he was asking me about you, and then it's like I told him, and then you guys met. You know, this is
in Osaka.
In Osaka.
Yeah. What's his name?
Hideaki Tanizaki, something like this.
Yeah.
My Japanese is not as good as yours, but you've spent a lot of time over there.
Yeah.
And then there's another band called Voodoo Circle.
Voodoo Circle. That's my Rainbow meets Deep Purple meets Whitesnake band.
Yeah.
And this is like my baby. Paradise. Hundreds of songs of things. Yeah.
I had once a story when I was in the pop business, which I quit too about 2000. Everybody was into kind of house music, you know, house, the disco, Polish kind of thing. Everybody was house. So, and they had all kinds of house music, Chicago house, deep house, whatever. And you know, when I met some A&R guy one day, I came up with a funky name, and he believed the bullshit I said. It was made up bullshit. You know, it's like I created a new genre just by coming up with some bullshit.
Just anyway, by drinking too much beer.
Yeah. Cool. And what about Silent Force?
Silent Force is a band I started like at the end of 90s, and actually we did quite well in Japan.
Yeah.
And but actually right now the band is a little bit on ice.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep so many projects alive simultaneously. I have the same problem. Yeah? I mean, we have only a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then of course there's people involved and
our singer DC Cooper, he lives in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so you know, an American to fly in and all this stuff, and then he's in a famous band called Royal Hunt.
Okay.
And so timing and time is always a problem.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. And what about Voodoo Circle?
I'm actually working on the new Voodoo Circle album right now.
Okay.
Using
this amp. Okay.
In combination with
the aux.
And
we talk about this later.
Okay, good. All right.
First,
I'm just too excited.
Yeah, I'm too excited about the music. So, what other clip do we have? Do we have a clip of?
I think we have another clip of Voodoo Circle.
Yeah, let's hear the Voodoo Circle clip, just so we know what we're talking about.
What we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Voodoo Circle, and I mean, you won a few awards, as we all do, maybe, but you were invited kind of into the Hall of Fame.
In my hometown, yeah.
Elversberg.
Yes.
And the funny thing about Elversberg is, maybe you don't know, but there is a very famous butcher, and the butcher made a fortune by being a producer. And his name is Frank Farian. He's the man from Bonnie M.
Exactly.
So Bonnie M is also from our area. It was a huge pop act back in the 70s and 80s.
Millions and millions of albums. And it was actually quite funny when they made the introduction in the City Hall.
Yeah.
Frank Farian was via Skype live.
Oh, cool.
And then he heard about me playing with Alice Cooper and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? There's a guy from my hometown playing with all these guys. This is very interesting. And I was like, oh, maybe invite me, you know?
Yeah. I just played in his studios as a session guitar player. I was 2000 or 1900, whatever. And he had a studio near Elversburg in, what's the... Schüren, yeah. With a blind bobtail dog. Have you been there?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, many times.
Yeah, many times. So, you know, we had some funny I had some funny stories in that studio because one day I knocked on the door and somebody opened the door and it was Billy Cobham. You know, next day I was knocking on the door and, you know, there were the guys from Nazareth.
Yeah, they were always there.
Yeah, they were always there.
Yeah.
They were hiring amps of mine and they returned it with tons of, let's say, Coke and brandy and all kinds of, and real Coke inside. So this was the real deal rock and roll and pop studio. They had like 3 studio rooms and it was a classic, you know.
Absolutely.
This was rock and roll studio life.
Yeah.
So you worked it as well, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a big project called Rock Meets Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, Rock Meets Classic, that's something you have to imagine a 50-piece classical orchestra and a 5-piece rock band and a 4-piece choir.
Ah, okay.
So it's like 60 people on stage and 40 people behind the stage. And what we do is we play the hits from the 70s and 80s, the rock hits.
Right.
But always with the original singers. So we had Alice Cooper, we had Bonnie Tyler, we had Paul Rodgers, Steve Lukather,
cool,
Ian Gillan,
yeah,
Don Felder.
Oh yeah,
and I'm the lucky guy who can be on stage with all these guys,
heroes.
all these heroes of my youth and still.
Yeah.
And I play music with those guys, and that's just amazing.
I know this one story you told me about Ian Gillan, and
there are many stories, but there's one particular.
Yeah.
Highway Star. We just played it, and the very first time we played together was in Frankfurt, in a big
concert hall.
Yeah.
Festhalle maybe.
Yeah, something like this. Yeah, and so we play Highway Star.
Yeah.
And Ian didn't show up for soundcheck or anything because he said, "Oh, I know how to play Highway Star."
He did it.
I don't have
3,000 times. Yeah.
All right. So actually, he meets me the first time on stage.
Yeah.
In front of 4,000 people.
Sure, this is professional.
Absolutely. And so we play Highway Star, and the solo part is getting closer and closer and closer. And I'm like, I have to do something special. I have to do something weird and special so this Ian knows about me. And so the solo starts, and I take the guitar behind my back, and I play the first little part behind my back. It wasn't perfect, but it looked great.
Yeah, sure.
And there's a photo, because Ian, he turned around and he looked at me and he did like this, and there's a photo of this. I think maybe he has it and he can show it to the people. And then I finished the solo and did all my gimmicks and stuff. And after the show, I was sitting backstage on the flight case, taking a breath and relaxing a little bit. And Ian comes off stage and he sees me. And so he's like, he's watching me.
Oh, you were already scared.
And I'm like, I'm like, maybe this was too much. Maybe I stepped into his comfort zone or anything.
Yeah.
And he started like, what's your name? Like, my name is Alex, nice to meet you. And then he starts like, that thing in Highway Star with the guitar solo, and I'm starting shaking, right? And he goes like, can you do that every night? It's awesome.
Cool.
And from that moment on, we became actually friends.
Yeah. I know when you meet this kind of people, most of the time, the more famous they are, the more relaxed they are.
Absolutely.
There are a few exceptions to that rule, but I met super famous guys being totally relaxed, totally easy, It's like, hey, they even do you a cheese bread or whatever. They come around the corner and spoil you just because, they're happy to meet people that are kind of normal, and maybe sometimes not from their band, because when they play with their own bands, I have the same problem. If you know one guy for 20 years, you know them too much, And if they're nice people and fresh people, and do you connect with them?
Absolutely. And also, believe it or not, but when they show up to the Rock Meets Classic thing, they are alone by themselves. They don't have their band, they don't have their comfort zone, and they meet 100 new people.
Yeah.
And so if you can do the thing and everything, they are like happy to have somebody that they can connect with immediately.
Yeah. Because it's a tough job for the front man to entertain, and it's like if you're all alone by yourself and nobody's doing anything, it's like, okay, fuck, I have to do the whole job,
the whole work. Yeah.
And if somebody like
if you help them,
you are instant friend. Yeah. I played that role too, and but this is stuff that you learn when you are professional, because when you do stuff like this, you will be recommended to other people because it works. And of course, we all are decent guitar players. Maybe some people think we are great. I played
with Steve Lukather.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
don't go there.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about this.
Yeah. I was on stage with Guthrie Govan, all this kind of people. And technically, they are all probably better. But in the end, if everybody finds its role and everybody is doing a thing, everything is cool.
Absolutely.
And this is even a Steve Lukather or...
he's the nicest guy on the planet.
Absolutely.
Amazing player, nicest guy on the planet.
And
great.
And then, it's kind of... the egos simply go away.
There is
no ego anymore. That's super, super cool. Yeah. Okay. Do we have one more clip?
I think we have one more clip about Highway Star, a live clip from Paris or something.
Okay, with Ian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And me doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, let's see that. Yeah, so Highway Star is, the original guitar player, of course, is Ritchie Blackmore. And he's one of my heroes and probably one of yours as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In my last episode, I was talking about Brian May, who is the guitar player in Queen. And do you have any connection about these guys or Queen or Brian May, or is this like...
No, I love Queen. I mean, how can you not love Queen?
Yeah.
But I never met the guy. But I worked with Paul Rodgers. He's not original Queen, but
I met Brian only once, very briefly, when I was winning the Fender contest in Wembley Arena in the UK. And then I had all these guys saying hello to me, including them all. I mean, David Gilmour, Gary Moore, him, and so on. But the funny thing is, when I think back about our heroes, like Ritchie Blackmore, maybe Brian May, and the British rock invasion, basically, and probably both connect most on the Blackmore, and there were some other great blues players like Peter Green, but it's probably before us in a way. Or
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And there's also there's one thing I think this connects all of them. They always had some kind of secret weapon, and sometimes they build it by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the story about Brian May guitar with his father, that he had, you know, the fireplace wood, and he made his own knife a bridge for the tremolo system, and then coming up with this kind of thing. There's a personality about the British guys that I kind of like. But on the other hand, they had this secret weapon. This was the simple. Oh fuck! It's glibbery. It's a simple device called the treble booster. I showed this in my other episodes as well, and this has been around in the UK. And when I was younger, I didn't know about that, so I was beating up a Vox AC30 and getting no gain, you know, and all my Marshalls had not enough gain.
Yeah.
And they were too woolly and the bass was not tight. If you have one of those,
everything is
in the right ballpark already.
Yeah.
So this is the British kind of secret weapon, how to get a traditional tube amp playable, more fluid, more rounder, and
more creamy.
Yeah.
Easier.
It makes the whole thing easier.
Yeah.
So what I will do now is I go back and show you. This is the sound that I used on my amp, which is like. So you can hear I'm influenced by the Ritchie Blackmore thing and. So I have a boost built in, but basically this is like a vintage Marshall tone. Let me show you what this can do with my traditional amp. First on the clean channel, and then this goes in here, and then I give you. So this is my. Wait a minute. To show you first, this is clean. Okay. So volume on 10. It's just a clean sound. Nothing special. So what happens if you have this one transistor OC44 loaded treble booster? It's getting a bit noisy, but it makes. This is very loud. And that's my clean channel. So that's already almost there, you know?
Yeah.
So, and when I use the channel that has, with the vintage channel that is already kind of a overdriven Marshall-esque amp, with this in front I have vintage high gain. Like heaven, you know. Of course, it's noisy, but this is the starting point for a lot of. Let's get rid of it because it's good, but it's noisy. It's a starting point for these beautiful British sounds. Now you came up with this device.
Yeah, that is actually a remake.
Okay.
Of the preamp of the original AIWA TP-1011 real TP-1011 reel-to-reel tape recorder.
Right.
Ritchie Blackmore used and still uses.
Okay.
From the 70s till today to boost his Marshalls.
Yeah.
And there is a preamp, and I think the story was probably he started to make an echo with it, because by then there was no digital echo or anything. Yeah. And he used it to make an echo, and then he figured, wow, this thing really sounds great, and it distorts my Marshalls. And this is his sound.
Right.
And we copied this preamp
from the tape
in
machine.
This little device. And believe it or not, and I'm really proud about this. Blackmore's guitar tech.
Yeah.
He bought 2 of them, and Blackmore uses it as a backup when
nice.
the AIWA has a bad day.
Okay, cool.
So I think we made,
wanna hear it.
something right.
Okay, super cool. So let me check that out. Output is here, and this is the in.
And we need a battery.
We need a battery. I had a battery. Where was my? I see. So this is like the cheesy way of getting some power here. Let me see if I can get this. So back in front of my. So it's already on. Sorry. So this is my clean channel. So next is I engage this. Well, it's a booster. Same principle as here.
Absolutely.
So hey, this has a very nice quality.
And there is no hum.
Yeah, it's
It's
super
totally
quiet,
silent.
yeah.
Super quiet.
Very
Very
low-
dynamic.
Super low noise design. My problem is I love these pedals. You know, people that seen this, if you look at this shelf here, it's full.
It's full of pedals, yeah.
I have to get one of this as well. So, and here's the thing, super dynamic. So, and this is just the clean channel. This is not Blackmore style, but hey, I could use this. We had a request for a Stevie Ray Vaughan sound, and this is a. That's a way how to get there with just middle position and on. Okay, but let's go in the Blackmore direction, which means first I give it to the clean channel and boost the whole thing, reduce the volume a bit, and see. So that's in front of the clean channel.
Clean channel, yeah.
Yeah, and it's already nice. For the low gain stuff, you know. Nice.
And still no hum, no noise.
Super, super clean. Super. So, and then we have the vintage channel. First without, so.
And you get a clean tone.
When I, yeah. Yeah, and you can hear that the notes already are trying to feedback, even at this speaking volume that we have here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Killer. Yeah, so that's the
RB-1011.
1011.
Well, I think we forgot to mention that I'm not only a guitar player, I also a kind of businessman like you. I have my little company and.
Ah, yeah, right. Sure, yeah, and this is one of the pedals that you did, and you have some other parts that are super beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I think I have one of those.
I brought some surprises.
Surprises. Yeah, just. So this is the story about if you are a professional musician It's always good to have a little side business.
Absolutely, especially in these days.
Yeah, Corona is no good for musicians, and it's great to have stuff. And I mean, you travel the world. You know where the good people are, and you know where you can source exciting stuff.
Yeah. All this stuff comes from Japan, quality first.
Yeah.
And I just grabbed a couple of things, and I mean Jimmy Page, because we're doing classic rock. This is like a wiring kit. You get 21 different sounds out of a Les Paul with this one.
Okay, 21.
21 sounds.
And that's even without a 5-way switch. It's a 3-way switch, and then in every pot there is a push-pull potty, and this gives you all the coil splittings. And
it's really crazy.
Just
as an example, I have everything for Strat and Les Paul, blah blah blah.
And this,
pickguards.
Yeah,
but different.
Yeah, this
because with a really thick black
middle layer.
Yeah, middle layer.
Okay, here is the experts. If you look on the real old Strat, you see there's a crack on the neck pickup screw, which is all original with my guitar because it's the original pickup. But if you have a new plastic pickguard, it looks not it doesn't look authentic vintage if it's not aged right. So what these guys are doing is they imitate the crackle here. They have the thick middle layer, and the aging, there's like little dark spots here, and it's more matte. And one of those, your guitar looks aged.
Absolutely, the different colors, you know.
Yeah, this is 62.
Yeah, all years.
All years.
All colors. Yeah.
And that's also like from Japan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Japanese.
And it's my brand actually. It's
yeah.
It's Guitar Slinger parts.
Okay, that's Alex's stuff. Very cool. And it's tasty. It's not overdone, you know?
No. And also new stuff. Okay. Very beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to show you a little bit.
Yeah.
And some.
That's cool. I love knobs, and I love aged knobs. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, super cool. So, when you're not on tour, you write music for the bands, and you have little business here and there. I mean, this is important for a musician because, you know, when you do a tour, you maybe make some money or maybe you lose some money. so you have to balance out your income in a way.
Yeah, and the problem is that nowadays you don't make money with record sales anymore.
Yeah.
That's gone.
So you need another kind of hardware.
You need something else. I mean,
that's why I do the amps.
That's why I do the parts and the Blackmore booster. And stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, you can't play like 200 shows a year. I mean, you can, but not for the next 10 years, right? This is just too much.
This is too much. This is maybe some people don't notice how physically it is to play a rock show, you know?
Especially if you do heavy metal by the age of 55.
Yeah. So I do classic rock, and I know, you know, my back gets kind of stiff after a show because, you know, and then I have to go to a swimming pool or, you know, stretch a little bit to be normal and to have a nice life balance between the gigging, which is killer and great, you know, I wouldn't like to live without it.
Yeah.
But it's good to have a little bit of that and the other thing.
Absolutely. And I mean, with a band like Primal Fear, we tour the world, and for example, if we tour South America, there is no sleep, because the thing is, the distance is every day is so big, so you have to fly every day.
Yeah.
And of course, we talk about 5 or 6 hour flights every day. So you have to take the first flight in the morning, which is 8 o'clock.
Right.
It's an international flight, so you have to be at the airport at 5.
Yeah.
And you go on stage at midnight, right? So you go on stage at midnight, and you have a lobby call at 4 o'clock.
Unbelievable.
So there is no sleep. You only sleep in the airplane and on airports in chairs, and it's very exhausting. But on the other side, the fans in South America are amazing,
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you get the energy from the fans on stage, and after that you're gone.
Yeah, you're flattened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I mean, it's amazing how much energy you can get from other people.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes before the gig you feel like, oh man, I'm not sure if
I can do it.
if I can do it. And then the first song starts and boom, you come awake and you have twice as much power. And of course, and this is not using drugs. This is just natural.
Yeah.
At least with me.
The people are the drugs.
The people are the drugs. Yeah. And but on the other hand, your body is still. I wouldn't say it's. You give this energy away, and you have to recover. I mean, when you come home from a tour, you need a few days on the sofa.
Zombie modus. Zombie modus.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to do the same. Yeah. Okay. So fly gigs. When I've been doing my big tours, and I had a backliner, and they came to my living room, and they picked up my 25 kilogram heavy tube loaded amps. And my 4x12 cabinets, and the only job I had to do was to mark this cable goes into here and that, and the rest of my life was just complaining about the catering, the sauce today.
That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah. But after I quit this big bands, which has to do something with the pop business and no record sales anymore, I decided to go. I get smaller and do my own project. I decided I want small amps. The funny thing about you is we know each other, but I did the silver amps, and Alex was always like, "Oh, so cool, but not my thing."
Yeah,
and then
that's right.
And then
I confess.
That's cool because for me it's important. If I don't want people to be not honest. For me, it's. If somebody likes anything, whatever it is, I'm happy for the guy. If you like your Ziggy Brown guitar, I'm happy for you because you found what makes you happy.
Exactly.
And if I can do something that somebody likes, is fine. And if you don't like it, it's also fine because there's other brands. But I do my thing. And the funny thing is, one day you ask me, "Oh, you've done the new one, the black one. Yeah, I should try it." And I thought, it's it's like I designed a metal amp, and then it's like, well, let's see. And then there was a phone call, and it's like, it was like my Ian Gillan moment where you thought, I need to tell you something, and I thought, oh man, maybe it's whatever, it's not tight enough, or it sucks again. You should do something else, You're a vintage guy, whatever. And then what was this thing? You were changing your studio, or?
I was actually looking for some solution for fly gigs.
Right.
Because especially when we go to South America, of course we have a list, a backline list and everything. There's Marshall.
Yeah.
And then you arrive in Brazil.
A surprise.
And you get the Fender Twin.
It's a 100-watt tube. So what's wrong?
Yeah. And this happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
And my friend Tom Naumann in Primal Fear, he plays a camper.
Okay.
So he always travels with a USB stick.
Yeah.
But I don't like the camper.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for a solution for fly gigs. And then you came up with the Iridium metal amplifier. Yeah. And I had to try it. And I set it up in my garage with a 4x12 cabinet. And I was blown away from the first moment.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
and that's why I called you.
Yeah.
I said to myself, I have to call you and I have to let you know how satisfied I am and how great it is actually.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the studio with Primal Fear.
Right.
And the guy in the studio, he didn't know about it.
Okay.
And I recorded all my guitars on the new Primal Fear album with this thing. And the guy in the studio was like, "What is this? It sounds amazing."
Yeah.
So congratulations, you did something right.
Okay.
And you made my life much easier now.
Yeah, super cool. What is your favorite channels there? I mean, we have like 3 different overdrive channels, vintage, classic, modern.
Well, I love them all. I love them all. The modern is great for heavy metal, for soloing.
Yeah.
And
because it's so dense and it has the gain.
And I like gain.
Yeah, okay.
The more gain, the easier.
Yeah, sure.
And the more fun I have.
Yeah.
But since I'm a matured player,
you can also downsize.
I can downsize, and the classic is,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like a hot rodded Marshall,
right?
With the boost.
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
Nice.
And in combination, to me, with the aux box,
Mm-hmm.
I set up a new studio. When Corona started,
Yeah.
I spent all my money for a new studio. And this combination to me is like unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
The funny thing about the aux is I know James Santiago, who designed it, because being in the industry with all the brands, Marshall, and the industry is like the musicians. Industry. There's like 100 people worldwide that do it.
And they work everywhere.
And they work everywhere,
Yeah.
And so I know the designers here from Universal Audio, and he knows the Blue Box, I know the aux, and we met at I think 2 years ago when it came out was it Summer NAMM in Nashville, and then and of course I was curious to hear what he was doing with his thing that goes all the way, and he even thought of cone break up and all the stuff that I know too, and I highly respect what he has done with this, and it's deserved to be a worldwide standard by now.
Yeah.
And it's a load box, and it's a speaker simulation, and maybe you can tell a little bit about it.
Well, I'm not the expert,
Yeah,
but you have
use it.
I use it every day. You have different microphones. You have chorus. You have reverb, different reverbs, echo, EQs, the best EQs, different rooms. Then the cone break up thing. I think it's like 60 cabinets or something.
Yeah, okay.
Everything you can imagine, and it's just amazing.
You plug it in.
It's like, oh, this is really fun. And I also tried it with my Marshalls.
Right.
But I like it better with yours.
With the M1?
Yes.
Aha.
I have to say.
The funny thing about this, I know from the technical side, this is a load box, and it's a reactive load. So the funny thing is also, I know that he and Torpedo use the same load, because I'm the engineer kind of guy that takes everything apart and also measures what they are doing. And the Torpedo and the aux have a similar load. And for maybe some strange reason, my current feedback dampening with the M1 Iridium probably works super perfect for you in this combination. So there's always some very happy combinations, and this, I'm not saying there's bad products or something. So sometimes there's a magic mix or a match of two products, and if you
like the AIWA tape recorder with the Marshall, for example.
Yeah, this is Ritchie's magic moment with that we copy now.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you tell me, and I don't know how many Marshalls you have, I have also tons of Marshalls, but I have the vintage Marshalls.
I have the high gain ones.
Yeah. So he is the high gain expert, and I'm sure you have whatever Ingves, and you have.
I have the JVMs.
Okay, so he's got them all.
Yeah.
And you plug them in, and you plugged in the M1 with the aux, and with the aux you even kind of
way better.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
To me.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's all good. Okay. So at least if it's that nice of a combination, we can recommend the aux with So James Santiago has also done something right. And that's it's good to know that this is a good working combination.
Yeah, it's a good fit.
Good fit. When you use the aux, is there a specific thing, like your little secret? Is there a cabinet that you prefer? I checked the aux, and I was impressed by the plate reverbs, because I love plate reverbs. I actually own 2 original plates.
Wow.
I don't have them here. I gave them to other studios. So I have free studio times in a few studios because they have the original EMT, whatever it's called, 240 or 140 plates. One is an old mono tube one, and the other one is a solid state stereo one. So I know how a plate reverb sound, and I know that this is a super nice.
It's really good, yeah.
It's really good.
I like all the 4x12s with the greenbacks, and now they made an update with vintage 30s. And
okay.
It's just great, just great.
Cool. So you know what? Can we play something? Okay, I'm too loud. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, Blackmore. Blackmore. I want to talk a little bit about the Blackmore thing again. I was, being, when I was a teenager. I don't know about you, but I was copying. Yeah,
Of course.
So you put in, the good old vinyl stuff, this thing, and then you listen, and then the needle goes down, and you go back, and then there's the outro solo, and it fades, and you try to compensate, Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, but when I was listening to Blackmore, I was actually very much impressed about his phrasing and timing and weird shit he has done in like grooving, So with this all in Deep Purple, they had the shuffle beat, and this kind of frills and whatever they do. That's kind of nice, but then and there's many songs that work with the shuffle feel, and then there were the straight ones. So and here comes my kind of key moment in Smoke on the Water and the solo, What is this?
I know.
Yeah. And then it's like, man, how can you come up with this? With this kind of line. And then one day I noticed this. He plays triplets straight. Or he makes like pairs of 3 and simply quantize them into 16ths. Who cares? And this is the genius moment of Blackmore, to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you have the same.
I didn't analyze it as much as you, but now I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, I mean, all this.
Yeah.
I mean, in just this little solo, there is so many rhythmic ingredients.
So smart.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Highway Star.
Yeah.
This is so smart, so
Unbelievable.
clever. Yeah.
So, and Do you know this other lick? I don't know if he plays it. I mean, there's one lick.
What's that?
Flat. Okay. Maybe. I don't know if he plays it this way. Maybe you know. Maybe you don't know. So you don't know this lick.
No, which song is that?
I think he plays it also in the very old, like about 1970 in maybe Ring That Neck or maybe something.
Okay.
And so this is something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I even took a thing from him and by mistake made something else out. But here is what I understood what he's doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So. Yeah. So what is fucking things? You played here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he does this kind of things, and I never understood how he groups it. Because this is like 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
When you do it here, it's 3 notes. 1, 2, 3 notes. Yeah. And when you do it here, it's 4 notes. I don't know if he plays 4 or 3 notes. So if we have some guys in the internet that know it properly,
Yeah, better than we do.
but this is another thing where what is this guy doing? He is a rhythmic genius. And the other thing was on the Burn album, I don't know, it was just a song in D minor. Very funky, and then he goes something like, and he da do and he turns around the beat, fucking crazy, you know. And I think you have to be such a stubborn personality to play against the beat in the same hardness as with the beat. And this is what I admire at his playing, you know. But yeah.
And to me, it was not only the playing; it's also he was a great showman.
Yeah.
He learned that in Hamburg at the Reeperbahn and
The hard way, you know.
The hard way.
Where they all had to become real performers.
And his charisma and that's something I always liked. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and in the 80s, and I always liked musicians with charisma and I always say the eye is also listening. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had this telephone call this afternoon. Let's see if we find him on this one here. Yeah, this is the gentleman here. His name is Tony Carey.
Tony.
Yeah, Tony. And Tony was the first keyboard player in Rainbow. And
it was not the first one.
No.
He came in for he played on Long Live Rock and Roll and live on stage.
Yeah.
And it was like a difficult
time
and situation.
Yeah. But he played with Ritchie.
Absolutely.
And I played with Tony a couple of times, and you maybe too.
I worked with Tony in the studio.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have him sometimes as a guest with my Rock Anarchy, and we like to jam and this kind of thing. Tony is a great guy, and of course when I meet people like this that know my heroes, it's like, hey, how is this guy?
Yeah, exactly. Like Rock Meets Classic.
Yeah, and then you get all these nice stories. And I played with Ian Pace from Deep Purple and Don Airey, and of course they all know charismatic people like Ritchie, and it's like you hear the stories from their point of view, and it's funny. It's super interesting. Wow. Do we have some questions? Maybe we talked a lot. Let's see. Jens Geilich. Okay, very geil. Hi Alex, that's for you.
Tell us a bit about your nice Super Strat. Okay.
This one.
This one is made by a German luthier called Siggi Braun.
From Stuttgart area?
Yeah, I think it's Göppingen. It's from Swabia.
Schwäbische Nudeln.
Yeah. And he actually started making guitars, but like heavy metal guitars. They look totally different, like more kind of modern kind of stuff. And I asked him to build me a super Strat.
That looks relic and is relic.
It's a little bit relic, and and actually he came up with this one. And well, now it was in 2000.
Okay. Oh yeah,
this guitar is
20 years
already
ago.
20 years ago,
Yeah.
and this is all real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically a Strat with a Floyd a Schaller tremolo
Yeah.
and a 5-way switch, and I replaced the bridge pickup with Seymour Duncan Little Screaming Demon.
Okay. The original pickup, was it like
It was a DiMarzio,
DiMarzio?
but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I replaced it with this one
Seymour
to
Duncan?
have a little bit more power.
Oomph, yeah.
Yeah. And so this is my main Strat since 20 years.
And it's scalloped. I can.
And it's
And
yeah,
that's
but only
a Ritchie thing as well.
yeah,
maybe.
but only from I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Only from the 10th fret.
Okay.
Because I figured when I play chords down here on a scalloped guitar,
They go out of tune.
it's in the studio it's okay, but live with all the adrenaline,
you go sharp.
Yeah.
Pressing too hard.
Yeah. So I stole this actually from George Lynch.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we all steal
From somebody, yeah.
From somebody. Cool. So so doing the scalloping only from the 10th fret.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
My Strat actually, I didn't scallop.
It's naturally.
It's
scalloped.
When I didn't have it back in the 80s, end of 80s. I bought this guitar when I was 17, and this must be I have to calculate it. So a few years later, after our record here, I bought this guitar, and I have pictures of how clean it was, and with all the clay dots still in place, like this one, and from me sweating and playing, it's kind of naturally scalloped.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I like the feel of slightly scalloped things a lot, and I actually do it to my other guitars too.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine, Robert, and he learned how to do that in a very subtle way. So it makes the fretboard just the way I'm used to.
And we are used to it, and I like the control you have over the string when you bend. Even if you sweat, you don't go like
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, because the flesh is not touching the wood, and then the strings will flip under your flesh. So it's like total control. Same here. For me, it's so important because bending, they need to be in tune,
Absolutely. And what I also do, I play super light strings. Those are 8s.
Ah, okay.
It's an 8 to a 48.
Wow. Okay.
So it's hard. It's strong on the bass, but it's very easy to bend and to play.
Okay, you
on
are
the
more
high
extreme. I play 9s to 46.
Okay.
So it's like 9. This is like 9s and 10s mix, and you have 8s with like 11s mix, or what is it?
Yeah. Actually, I have 3 different sets.
Okay.
I think this one today is, I think it's 8 to 46. I think if I look at the strings, it's also 46.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like it really, really light.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the time where people went, if you are not Stevie Ray Vaughan and play 13th, you're not a man.
This is bullshit.
Two things about that. I mean, if you play a certain style, it makes sense. I have to admit, but for me, it doesn't work because I couldn't do my bendings. And the other thing is, thick strings have too much bass for me. And that's not so cool if I'm a rock player. The rock players, even Jimi Hendrix, and I think a lot of our heroes, they didn't have the real big strings.
Brian May.
Yeah.
He plays 8.
Yeah.
Tony Iommi, 8.
Okay.
Billy Gibbons plays a 7. It's really.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're talking about, those guys, those sounds.
Yeah.
So to me, this discussion about gauche
is forget it. If you like what you play, what you like,
do what you. Yeah, exactly.
But it's not like if you're not playing 13th, you know, and I can tell you when you are a clean player, bigger strings make a more stable mid-range kind of thing. But as soon as you go into overdrive territory, it's probably not even the opposite, but it's thinner strings have their beauty. So, you know.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly. We have more questions here. Hallo Thomas, kannst du mit BluGuitar ein Treble Booster Pedal für Amp1 machen? Ah, yeah. Well, I already did for myself, and let's put it that way. I will put in my treble booster in the future Project MX because there will be all my pedals in there. Yeah, so that's the way. But to bring out another pedal, that's something. I make pedal amps, but to make pedals, I leave that to other guys because I make pedal amps. This is where I start. Okay, heavy load, ist das nicht auch ein Child in Time? Was?
Heavy load. Ist das nicht auch ein Child in Time drin?
Yeah, he's thinking about
that part.
I think this fast lick is in Child in Time. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end solo or something.
Yeah, I think he's right. Yeah. Good hint. So, and when it makes the Iridium Edition less tight. Okay. Can I make the Iridium Edition less tight, which is the black one? If this is too tight for you, you can go on to, we have a mode which is the low power mode, which kind of brings the power amp section down to 50 watts or 60 watts. And then the more master you use, the more zagging you get, and you get it less tight if you want that. But most guys want that sound to be tight. So it is designed to be tighter than the silver one. But if you want to, it's an option. And how to do it is super simple. Switch off the amp, press and hold the first button here. And while holding it down, switch it on, then the amp has only 50 watts.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, some people ask, why don't you do a 50 watt version of it? It's already there.
Already there.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do it.
Yeah. And it doesn't come any cheaper because, you know, what is the technical difference? This amp is so small and there is no way to save anything. I mean, we could save a few windings on the transformer, but hey, why?
Why? Exactly, why?
Bullshit, you know? And I like to have the headroom if you need it, and if you want less, it's always a way to get there. And I can even do this, you know, with the software function by design. You know, for me, it's if you have a lunchbox amp, there is a big problem if you want more headroom, because a lunchbox amp has whatever wattage it has, 15, 30, 50, and that's it.
That's it.
And here we can go up to 100 and having the headroom.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What effects does Alex use, and does he also use a solo boost? Yeah.
Oh, effects. Oh, well, I have a pedal board, and it's basically I have two Boss DD7. Two, yeah, with two different timings.
Okay. And do you have them in the effects loop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have the delays in the effects loop because of all the distortion, they don't work in front of the amp. A noise gate, NS2 from Boss, a wah pedal.
You have a specific one?
It's a optical, a Jim Dunlop optical, but I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, model.
Yeah, but it's very important to me to have an optical wah, because with all this noise on stage, you never know if it's on or off. You know, and with an optical, you're on the safe side. But then I use a treble booster, which I also built it myself. It's also Guitar Slinger, double dealer.
I know this pedal. It is like a Rangemaster meets a
tube screamer.
A tube screamer. It's like the two combined.
Combined in one. I think you have one.
I think
I
have
gave
one.
You one. Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. And what else? Well, Univibe.
Okay, yeah, sure. The Hendrix moment.
Yeah, exactly. And a very nice thing, it's a PS5, a pitch shifter from Boss.
Okay.
You can do harmonies and stuff, but there's one little function. It's called flutter, tremolo flutter.
Okay.
What you can like like a pitch shift, you know,
Okay.
like all this. I need more gain.
Yeah.
With your foot, and
Yeah.
you can do it while you.
Okay.
So you can play and it goes out.
Okay, and that's
All this crazy
extra pitches.
extra crazy stuff. And people always ask me, how do you do that effect? And it's a PS5. It's discontinued.
Yeah, the good stuff sometimes is
It's
discontinued.
discontinued.
I know.
Yeah. Not much. Just basic stuff.
Okay, Guitar Slinger 11 was a wireless system?
Sure. No, you can use it. He's asking,
With
can you
a
use
wireless,
it?
yes.
With a wireless system, of course, absolutely.
Okay.
You just put it in front of the amp.
And the wireless goes into the input. And it works.
You can also use it in the effects loop
As a booster.
as a booster.
Yeah.
And you make from one amp channel, one channel amp is a two channel amp.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the beauty of well-designed boosters.
Yeah.
Cool. Julian, what about making guitars? About you, about me? Well, we do a few blue guitars and we are working on more, but I tell you, the job of doing guitars, it's a lot of things. I have a few blue guitars and I work together with Trevor Wilkinson, who does the hardware, and he designed my own tremolo system with the vintage specs like cold rolled steel and
exactly.
especially hardened plates with special saddles and the whole thing. And it's beautiful, but they're all handmade, and I get like a guitar a month if I'm lucky, and sometimes not. What about you? Are you doing any guitars?
No.
Okay.
No. I just sell the parts. Sell the parts for it.
Yeah. So you buy a guitar and you buy
And
some.
you buy the parts from me.
Guitar Slinger and make your own guitar. Yeah. What actual favorite sound of Blackmore is on the 7th Copenhagen live album in Chinatown? Yeah. Do we have hints for this area, Alex or Thomas? Yeah.
Well, the 1970s, the AIWA and the Marshall.
Yeah. I mean, if it's 70, when did he start to use? Do you know when he's studying the tape machine, or was it still kind of the Rangemaster? I know he started with the Rangemaster. Okay, let's put it that way. He started with a 335.
Yeah.
So this was back in the 60s, and Ritchie Blackmore. This was before he played the Strats.
Absolutely.
And then I think he saw Hendrix, and he became the showman, and he noticed that this guitar is not a showman's guitar anymore. No. It's a nice sounding blues guitar with...
Only Alvin Lee could do it.
Yeah. And this guy was killer. I had the pleasure to open up for him once, and if you look at the Woodstock...
Yeah.
I mean, killer licks. I mean, we're talking 1969.
And we're still playing those licks.
Yeah. Unbelievable. But hey, I have found this in my vinyl collection, and this is Ritchie Blackmore, kind of a lot of. This is a double vinyls LPs. And this is his story. And here you can see there's a 335.
Oh yeah.
And a not so showman guy with short hair, you know. And so there's a history for behind every big star. And the nice guy on the 335 or whatever he was playing back then. And then they developed into something special with Deep Purple. And when you read about they get inspired by other bands, like the competition with Led Zeppelin, and they had to fire the singer and get a guy that could shout, and then in rock came out.
Yeah. Changed everything.
Everything, yeah. And so the Black Copenhagen, Here's another thing that I heard. Ritchie is also a Vox kind of guy. And most people think he was always playing Marshalls. There's a lot of recordings, especially with the Vox. And I've been friends with Marshall amp designers, Steve Grinwood from the UK, who now lives somewhere else, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, in the industry you talk, and I heard a lot of stories about him going to the Marshall factory, bringing his Vox and telling them, can you make my Marshall sound like this? You know? So the Vox meant also something for him. And maybe, I have to check this Copenhagen album, around that time he was sometimes still playing Voxes, maybe. So it could be the Rangemaster and the Vox, or it could be the Rangemaster and the Marshall, or it could be the AIWA and the Marshall for live. When he played the AIWA, I haven't seen him with Voxes anymore.
No.
I think this was the time when
he played the Marshalls.
Yeah.
And you see the AIWA on many pictures.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a big tape machine and with rainbow. And here, hey, I forgot about this. You can see this on some rainbow recordings. And this is a Schulze Berlin compact phasing A unit.
That's actually what Blackmore used live on stage.
Yeah,
with rainbow.
See, this is the unit somewhere in my shelf. I got almost everything, or not all. If there's too many pedals, or this was even pre-pedal. This was a box. Let me see if I can get this up and running or not. Let's see. We need some power here and a few cables. So, a free power outlet somewhere, not here. Okay, this is rock and roll. Okay. Yeah. Plug it in here. And then we need a long patch cable. Yeah, you can do some music in while I do some sound. Well, it's a phaser, and a uni-vibe, that's the thing that Hendrix was using, is also a phaser. So it comes from the same kind of background. And here, have a go. We swap cables. I play your amp, he's playing mine. cool. Yeah.
Just gave you some echo.
Echo always
Always.
helps. This is why I have 2 echoes on my pedalboard.
See, I have 2 echoes too.
So
More is more.
yeah, and more is more. I have one in the effects loop like you do, but I have another one in front of it. For me, vintage guy, you know. But you have to be super careful because, you know, if it oversaturates everything, yeah. But I'm the guy that plays a lot on lower settings on the guitar, and so it's kind of my thing to work with the echo, you know.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, hey, swap back. So we had a compact phasing A by Schulte Electronics from Berlin.
I always wanted to have one of those.
Well, you know, I can borrow it to you.
Hard to find.
Yeah, and you know, for me, the good thing is when I was, you know, going into music stores and doing clinics, I always saw, you know, in the used corners, you know, the cool stuff. Some, you know, all my guitars, all my other vintage amps. You know, you come to the music shop and say, hey, oh, this is from a customer. You know, like, man, come on, I'm here. Can you make a special price for me? And this is where I bought very great gear for super cool.
Yeah, same with me. When I started doing workshops and clinics, then you start buying gear, and more gear.
I had clinic tours where I made no money because, you know, I went out and I spent more than I earned.
Yeah.
So you've been there too.
I've been there.
Okay, super cool. So we have more questions. Metal.
Fred.
What's Fred?
Fred. I know this guy. He's a really cool guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know his name from the internet, but can we? So.
Do you prefer maple or rosewood?
Oh.
I don't know. It's not about prefer. I find rosewood easier to play than maple. Maple has a little bit more high end, a bit more percussive.
Yeah.
And I find that not difficult to play, but it's different from rosewood.
Yeah, sure.
I think it sounds different. And I have rosewood necks, I have maple necks, but most of my guitars have rosewood necks. So
for me, I'm a rosewood guy. I do have like 2 maple guitars, and I like them for like clean tones and bluesy stuff. But I'm too much of a rock player in the way that I think the rosewood guitars, they have a certain punch in the mid-range. But I prefer the steel bite from the rosewood. It's they both have their beauty.
Absolutely.
You know, for some reason I have more rosewood guitars than maybe, and there must be a taste thing for me.
Yeah.
So what's going on here next? Hell Chicken, okay. Hi, I'd like to change you with 2 sounds on demand on Iridium. So challenge us. First Black Sabbath tones and also some gritty, dense. Schöne Luft. Ich hoffe, ihr wisst, was ich meine. Sounds of Orange. High gain settings. Okay. So that's a question about this amp. Black Sabbath. I'm not the biggest expert. Maybe you know
Laney amps.
Yeah.
Laney and Rangemaster.
Yeah. I mean, so there's some common ground there. I played some Laney tube amps and Rangemaster, but I'm not the biggest Tommy Iommi expert, to be honest. What I mean, you know. This is what I know about Black Sabbath, and then War Pigs and a few others.
I think the sound of Tony Iommi has so much to do with his injured fingers.
Yeah.
He has such a special sound. To me it's unbelievable. It's like Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
If you hear one note from Carlos Santana,
yeah.
It's him. If you hear one note from Tony Iommi, you know it's him. And I find that so difficult to reproduce.
And it's not so much the amplifier, it's more the...
I think it's really...
The personality.
The personality and the way how he plays. And I never heard anybody getting close to that sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, okay, I was never that much... I mean, I like Ozzy for a certain reason, because I think he's got a great humor. I never met the guy, I have no idea, but I mean, only the stories about him biting chickens on stage. This guy must be crazy and he must be funny.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah.
And he always had great guitar players.
Yeah, I mean, that was his other secret.
Yeah.
I mean, as a singer, he's doing his thing, and he's not he can't sing high notes, but he's
he doesn't have to.
Yeah, and it's cool. This guy is simply
He has
cool.
personality.
Yeah, it's simply cool. And then of course his choice of guitar players was always, if there was a new record by Ozzy, you had to get it or at least listen to it because the guitar player was hot.
And I was actually lucky enough. I saw Randy Rhoads here in Saarbrücken.
Wow.
With Ozzy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was first row.
Yeah.
And I remember that so clearly because that night I decided that from this day on, I will do everything to become a professional guitar player. It was that night.
You were so deeply impressed.
Yes.
Of Randy Rhoads.
It changed my life completely.
Yeah. Okay.
I even painted my Marshalls white after this because he had white Marshalls.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. And there was also Tommy Aldridge on drums and Rudy Sarzo.
Yeah, okay.
And I met Rudy.
Okay.
20 years later.
Yeah.
And I had a necklace with a flying, like a Randy Rhoads flying V.
Yeah.
And he recognized, and then we became friends because of that. That was nice guy.
Super cool. Yeah, I had a moment with guitar players after, Blackmore and stuff. With also I saw in Neunkirchen, and this was I think 1984, and it was Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Tusshalle.
In the Tusshalle, yeah.
I wasn't there.
You wasn't there?
No, I wasn't there.
I have the original poster somewhere here in my room where I collect a lot of old trash. And of course, I was impressed. But for me, the experience of going to a concert where a guitar player was the man that had so much energy. Unbelievable. I was also first row, maybe second, but he played a pile of amps, and there was like even a half stack Marshall stack with probably 100-watt Marshall PA head or something like this, and it was covered with like some carpet. And for the encore, he ripped off the carpet, and then the 100-watt Marshall power all went to my ears, so I know what a guitar can do to your ears. But it was still so physical. It was so impressive. Yeah. And by the way, we had an inquiry for a tone, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Talking about him, let me see if I can get this. What was it? Heavy weather tone. So basically, how to get a Stevie Ray Vaughan tone on the Amp 1 is reduce the gain on the vintage channel. The next thing would probably be use a Fender style cabinet. So I would use more mid. Tiny bit of boost. Maybe less treble. Or let's see, I have the low power mode, but I also have the low gain mode. I switch off the amp, press and hold the boost button, and now I have less treble and it's less hot. So do I know any Stevie Ray Vaughan song? In that kind of direction.
Yeah.
So, Stevie Ray Vaughan. What else? Russell Sauner. Speaking of Ritchie Blackmore and Rainbow, has anyone else ever noticed that the main melody for Gates of Babylon was basically absorbed as a lick in Volbeat song? Everybody steals everything.
Yeah, I steal every day. All my songs are stolen from somebody.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
No, because also our heroes did. Talking about Ritchie Blackmore.
We talked about it this afternoon.
Yeah. I heard some things on where was it? Where he gave an interview and he said like, it's a song by somebody, and it's exactly the same line even, just the break was different.
Yeah.
You know, and then I heard a story from about Burn. Did you notice?
No.
This is a not official story, but Wolf Simon, a drummer, he played with John Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the story about Burn. John Lord and Deep Purple was on tour, and John Lord played some Bernstein. A swing kind of thing.
Ah, cool.
And it went
Yeah.
So next morning,
Tubi-duba.
exactly. Next morning, Mr. Blackmore showed up for breakfast and told the guys, I got a new song. It goes... Oh, he only made it straight, get rid of the shuffle beat.
Perfect.
And there was the new song. This is what I heard. So, you know, there's tons of elements, and he stole...
I just had an idea. Hey Joe
Yeah.
and Hush.
Yeah.
That's the same song actually.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same song. And
Catch the Rainbow.
Catch the Rainbow is
Jimi Hendrix.
Little Wing.
Little Wing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So and yeah. So
That's totally okay.
yeah, that's and you know it's the same also with like Led Zeppelin bits and pieces, but in the end is they have all their own character and they make it their own music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the tiny bits that they change is what makes them their music. And that's for me enough, because if you want to listen to Leonard Bernstein, maybe if it's technically a similar melody or whatever, it has a totally different feel, you know? So there's nothing wrong about that.
No.
Cool. So any more questions, or I absorbed a lot from these people, of course. And the good question is, let me think about what I, so to speak, nicked from other people. Wait a minute, this is trying to be the reset, so I get to the regular settings. And now I'm back on clean boosts, which shows me the reset was successful. And here is my... So I'm back with my sound.
Cool.
Did you use ebony fingerboards? They were aggressive. Yeah, I remember in the 80s they had brass for more sustain here and ebony fretboards and everything. For me, it was never my thing, because the Strat is my guitar and I like it as vintagey, original as possible. I mean, you have, you know, like a hot rod Strat, you know. I like the vintage attributes and sounds. And when I checked the ebony fretboards, they made the guitar in a way very controlled, which is why metal guys really like that, because this is what they need. They need to have a controlled guitar for the fast riffings and dampening and all that stuff. But me, the vintage guy, I need the muddiness somewhere, you know, the spongy dirty kind of things. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good question. Heavy load, personal question to Alex. Was Doug Aldrich reason bring you back to, what's that, Les Pauls? You were a Strat guy for so long. Doug Aldrich was not the guy who brought me back to play Les Pauls. The story was, I was in the songwriting mode, and I wrote songs actually on this guitar.
Yeah.
And all the riffs were Les Paul riffs.
Yeah.
And so I had a gold top at home for Michi Palo.
Ah, okay.
And so I said to myself, give the riff what it asks for, right?
Right.
So I started to play those riffs and to record those riffs with the gold top. And that was on the second Voodoo Circle album. And I learned and I figured that a Les Paul is a completely different guitar.
Yeah, sure.
It has nothing to do with a Strat, and you play totally different. And at the beginning, I had some struggles.
Sure.
And then I figured, I play less.
Yeah.
I play totally different, more melodic. And I was interested in digging deeper. And then one day it clicked. And I understood, and I started to love and to enjoy the Les Paul. And the Les Paul, you have to play it down here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you look like a jazz guy.
That's not your cup of tea.
No, and everything is different. The way you hold the guitar, the haptic, is that English?
I think so.
Yeah, everything. And I took the challenge, and I always loved John Sykes. I have to say that.
Yeah.
I always loved
and he
John
was
Sykes.
a Les Paul guy.
And so that's how I became not a Les Paul guy, but by that time also Joe Bonamassa became famous, and I was known as a Strat player like you, but then I said to myself, just play the guitar the song is asking for.
Right.
Like Joe Bonamassa does.
Yeah.
And now I switch
between
worlds, and I really love that. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. I have a Doug Aldrich story. I met him.
Such a nice guy.
Yeah, super sweet.
Super nice.
Super sweet.
Yeah.
And he's married to a German.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cologne area kind of thing. And I met him in China. And he played that BluGuitar over one of these amps. And he can play Strats as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so
he played a Strat when he was in Dio.
Yeah. So he knows what he's doing, and such a sweet guy. And he was very deep impressed about playing this. There's a little video on YouTube, Doug Aldrich, Amp1, whatever. This was just like, when we go on trade shows, it's like, the guys do the demos, and then you sneak around when you have a pause, It's like, oh man, this guy is great, So, I watch his shows, he watches mine, and, this is how I met a lot of people on trade shows, Tommy Emmanuel, and it's like, it's so cool.
I had one story. It was at the NAMM show in LA. Right. I think it was the year we met at the NAMM show.
Probably.
After having seen each other for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I was doing a kind of a Yngwie Malmsteen playback, doing shredding, all that stuff. And, hairs down, concentrated, doing the thing, and really low volume.
Yeah, sure.
Because of the NAMM show.
And
then I realized people are like, they're laughing and giggling, and I was like, what's wrong? And so there's Yngwie standing here.
Oh, wow.
right in front of me.
Yeah.
And he's like,
very cool guy.
Watching me and laughing and smiling. So it was really cool. Also, a great guy.
Absolutely, yeah.
All the stories about him, I cannot...
No. He's behind the scenes. He's a nice guy.
Super nice guy. Very funny. Yeah. Very, very funny.
NAMM show. I have two stories. One of them is very long ago. I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. I was at NAMM. I was doing the same thing like you. Watching here, doing my demo at very low volume, and then I was looking up, and then I was shocked because there was Carlos Santana,
oh hello,
it's like standing 1 meter away. It's like I couldn't believe, and then I looked back, and he was still there, smiling at me. Everything was good because You know, you do your thing, and that's the good thing about these shows. You meet people. And the other thing is, sometimes I'm not a jazz player. I had some whatever sound. I had. This is what I call 6 of 49 or whatever lottery play.
Lottery play.
That's not a real scale. This
No,
is a mechanical exercise. And I combine this kind of thing sometimes with stuff that makes sense, like whole tone scales or whatever, something that sounds intellectual in a way that it would make sense with this kind of weird stuff.
Yeah, I'm from Birmingham. I can't do this.
I was just doing that for fun, you know?
Yeah.
I gave a shit about it and I just had fun. It's like, you know, the guy next booth was playing some jazz and he was really good, you know, and he knew all the chords and he knew all the
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, so I, just for fun, I was giving... and I've just done stuff like this, and there was a guy that was deeply impressed, you know. And these moments, you know, this is again the energy of people. I mean, when you play a real gig in front of the audience, that's another energy. But trade shows also have their
own energy.
Yeah. And you come up with things that you would never come up at home.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah, and so it's inspiring to have all these kind of different scenarios in your life.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. We have what is Alessandro
Morone. You will release another Voodoo. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
The record is almost finished. I'm working on it every day, and the guitars are done, the vocals are done, keyboards are done, drums are done, bass is almost finished, keyboards are done. So yeah, it's gonna be released next year.
Okay, very nice. Is there what's the lineup? Do you know already?
I know the lineup, yeah, because all the guys recorded their parts already, but the
you don't hold.
It's
still secret. Okay, I can't read it because the Duncan pickups. Can you move the laptop a bit? Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, Dominic Purley did whatever. I know. Did you use also Seymour Duncan pickups with the Les Paul? What pickups are in your Les Paul?
In my Les Pauls, I have Suhr Doug Aldrich pickups.
Okay.
Because they have that thick mid-range and I just love it.
Okay. Yeah. And and the vintage guy, I go the other direction. I found out that I prefer 57 Les Pauls versus 59s, where everybody else goes for the really expensive ones. But I like the first year because they sound like a single coil on steroids.
Ah, okay.
Yes, but hey, again, this is so good to see that all these different sounds and tastes make sense in a way. You know, combining this with different amps, with different settings, and this is then your character, your tone.
Yeah.
Wow. I think we had tons of questions.
Yeah.
Let's do a little outro jam and use your pedal delay here, if you don't mind. Is it hooked up?
Wait a second.
Hey, what a big pleasure to have Alex Beyrodt here in the house. I hope maybe we do something in the future again.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that. It's so great, and check out everything. I mean, you got your website, you got your bands, you got your products, and everything is tasty about this guy. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
hey,
you so much.
big pleasure. See you soon, and see you next time.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.